Hello everyone, and welcome to this eighth episode where we are talking about all the IPL franchises, their retention strategy, the potential targets, and all of this from fans' perspective. So, today in this series, we are going to discuss about Kolkata Knight Riders. And to discuss this, we have a very passionate fan of KKR, Dr. Arka, with us. So, Dr. Arka, welcome to this show.
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here and looking forward to have a great time with you right now discussing the team which I love so much.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And what a perfect day to start this discussion because the news came that this time it's going to be Shreyas Iyer who will lead the franchise as expected. And the combination of Shreyas Iyer and the coach Gautam Gambhir. So, what are your thoughts on this combination and how do you see this combination flourishing?
Well, I expect this combination to flourish a lot because even in the past, Gambhir and Shreyas has had some very great camaraderie. Remember when Gambhir left his own place in the team, the captaincy, baton, he passed it on to Shreyas in Delhi Capitals, if I'm not wrong. And so Gambhir obviously has in the past shown some trust on Iyer regarding the leadership. So here KKR have coincidentally roped him in. So with Gambhir back, I think that duo will function very well. And not to forget, even the vice captain is someone who has a very great bond from a very young age with Gautam Gambhir. So I think that trio would do wonders and hopefully good days are ahead.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And the old friends of Gautam Gambhir, Dre Russ and Sunil Narayan. So I think the old Kolkata Knight Riders flavor is going to come back. So before that, let's
Exactly.
do a quick recap of their 2023 performances so that we can find what are the loopholes, what are the places that they will target. So let's start with the batting performances in the last season. And one obvious loophole was that they didn't have any Indian wicketkeeper batter going into the tournament, and so they had to play Rahmanullah Gurbaz. But somehow, do you think that Rahmanullah Gurbaz didn't perform as per his potential?
Very certainly. I feel that he still has a lot of work to do to be ready for the IPL. He's a promising talent. He's young, he's good, he's very dedicated and sincere to his game. But I think there are still a lot of time for him before he gets ready for, the higher stakes of the IPL. Currently, I feel that he is necessary in the team, but maybe not as a starter. I would put him as a backup. And I think that our top order issue has to be addressed. We had Gill, but for some reason we didn't retain him, thinking that Venkatesh Iyer would do great for us. But ultimately, he turned out to be a sort of a one season wonder, sadly. And ever since, we have been struggling to get the second opener with Venkatesh Iyer. Then Iyer dropped to the middle order occasionally. And we messed up our mega auction by not getting good keepers. We tried Indrajit and etc. Now Jagadisan and even Gurbaz. We can't play both Gurbaz and Roy, so we can play any one of them because there are only four foreigners whom you can play. So the keeping aspect has to be dealt with, but I still feel that Gurbaz is a good backup, but certainly not worth starting the game.
Yeah. But now let's talk about the positives from last season. You had a good captain who was performing well, Nitish Rana. You had a wonderful season from Rinku Singh. Then Venkatesh Iyer as an impact player performed and did his job. Dreras, the finisher, he was doing well. So I think your middle order is still sorted with guys who can perform. And especially with Shreyas Iyer coming in, do you think that this is the major positive and you don't have to worry about the number 3 to number 6 slots?
Absolutely. So I feel that we have a dream middle order right now. We have that big name in the name of Shreyas Iyer. Then we have Venkatesh Iyer, who, if he drops to the middle order. Then we have obviously the blitz of Nitish Rana, Rinku Singh, and Russell. So I think the middle order is perfectly sorted. But what worries me is the power play aspect. So I hope we'll make some amends over there by bringing in some good top quality top order players. And if possibly one among them is a keeper, it will be very good.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Now let's try to see some of the drawbacks from the last season. And if you look at the batting, the number 7, 8, 9, they didn't chip in last season. And KKR was hoping that Shardul Thakur will give them that kind of flourishing and along with Sunil Narayan, but both of them didn't click and they even tried Anukul Roy. So do you think that this batting depth, even though the names are there, they didn't click? This is going to be a concern this season also if they don't find a good number 7 or number 8.
Yeah, it could be because it will not be always the case that our top order will stand up or the middle order would do well. There will be occasions where we will collapse and we would need someone in the, at the lower order to provide that stability. Obviously, Russell can't provide you that because that's not his game. But if we get someone in the low order who can play the good finisher and the safe batsman kind of role, it will be very good. But for that, I don't think we can go after big names because Shah Rukh Khan obviously someone who could be a good number seven, but that being said, we have nothing in our pace bowling. So to bring some enforcements in the pace bowling, we can't really invest a lot on Shah Rukh. So maybe you have to find some young, unknown, uncapped lads who could do the finishing. There are a few of them in the uncapped quota, so maybe one among them would do the job.
Yeah, definitely. So now let's move on to their bowling a bit. Let's do a quick recap of their bowling. So in the last season, if you see, there were two main guys, Varun Chakravarti, Suyash Sharma, and then Sunil Narayan, the spin trio of KKR. They did superbly well. But when you look at the pace bowling attack, as you were just mentioning, so Dreras was occasionally bowling. He wasn't bowling his full quota of 4 overs. Then you had Shardul Thakur, who had a very bad season with the ball, where his economy was very high. Then you had some bits and pieces performances from Vaibhav Arora and Harshit Rana. So do you think that the post pace bowling is really a concern and they need to find out somehow a slot where they can fill in an overseas pacer who can carry this pace bowling attack?
Absolutely, that is the need of the hour because obviously Harshit Rana is very, very promising. He's had a very good domestic season. So he would probably start, I believe, unless we get a very big Indian bowling name. Otherwise, Harshit certainly starts, but he can't lead your pace attack. He's not the
Yes.
spearhead for you. So you have to obviously find a way out, like getting someone like a Stark or maybe a Cummins or a Hazelwood or maybe Madhushanka, as people are saying that Gambhir likes Madhushanka and may try to bring him for that left armor aspect. So we have to see, we obviously have to go after a lot of bowlers, preferably overseas ones. Otherwise, if they believe that we'll use an Indian one who could do well at the death, then they have to go very hard at Harshal Patel or maybe try to buy back Shardul if they have faith on him. But there are very limited Indian options, but there are a lot of overseas options. So I think that will be the number one priority alongside getting a quality wicketkeeper in the team.
Yeah, definitely. And if you look at Gautam Gambhir's legacy as a mentor as well as a captain, and he was with KKR, when Gambhir is there in the setup, the pitches are either on the very slow end or either at a very supportive to very fast bowling kind of a setup, where even if you look at LSG, they had Mark Ward, Naveen ul Haq, all those kind of Avesh Khan, all those kind of bowlers, or very spin friendly. Same with KKR, the spin bowling is there. But do you think that this time also there will be the auction strategy will be to go for all and out pace bowlers, especially like Alzari Joseph, Gerald Coetzee, these kind of guys?
Very certainly, absolutely, because you always can't target the trio of Australians that is Cummins, Hazelwood, and Stark. They may
Yes.
go for a fortune. So you have to have a backup plan in your head. Someone like Madhushanka or, as you said, Alzari Joseph would be a very fine inclusion because he's a very well-known T20 bowler. He's done well for Gujarat as well. So yeah, obviously we need two paces, honestly, not just one. One would start and the other would be a backup. So maybe Joseph can be a good backup for us, but I think we do need quality up front who can, give us wickets in the power play. Someone like a Stark or Madhushanka would be absolutely ideal. But yes, they have to go into the auction keeping in mind that all other teams would also want fast bowlers. So they have to play it a bit intelligent, and only then things would happen the right way.
Yeah, definitely. And do you think that somehow the all-rounder slots are somehow vanishing because of the impact player rule? And apart from Dreras, you don't have that kind of all-rounder in the KKR setup now. But given the impact of Gautam Gambhir on how the team structure is formed, he kind of favors all-rounders. Do you see that
Absolutely.
Gambhir going for more all-rounders at 7 and 8 rather than out and out bowlers, one-dimensional players?
I think Gambhir has a very clear, plan in mind. Every time he approaches a team, whether he leads the team as a captain or as a coach, even if you remember when Lucknow was formed, he had the option of picking someone like a Warner or superstars like that in his team. But he ended up picking up Stoinis. And why? Because Stoinis gives you both batting as well as bowling. So he has that obsession towards all-rounders. He picked Tunal, he picked Huda, He picked a number of all-rounders. He picked Mayers and whatnot, many examples of all-rounders in the team. So obviously, Gambhir believes in dual utility, someone who can probably give you keeping and batting, or maybe batting and bowling. So I think KKR will certainly look for all-rounders. There are a bunch of all-rounders among big names and also among a less-known name. So I think KKR will certainly go for all-rounders, irrespective of the impact player rule being present.
Yeah. So do you see Chris Wokes or Daniel Sams coming to KKR?
Absolutely, I would be more than happy. More than Sam's, I would actually prefer Vokes because Vokes has done well in the Eden, even in the World Cup. He was very impressive, even in the depth in that particular ground. And he's also been a part of the KKR team. So he has been a part of the KKR team from when Gambhir was the captain. If you remember in
Yes.
2017, so he actually was one of our highest wicket takers. So I think Vokes would be someone KKR would certainly eye. And the good thing about him is that he's not going to be very expensive. So you can obviously get him and he also can bat. So if any day, God forbid, something happens to Russell or Narayan, so Woke can easily walk into the team. Someone like a David Willey again brings in a lot of quality with his left arm pace, is also in form, and he's available because he's a retired player now from international cricket. So maybe such underrated picks is something you can associate Gambhir and KKR with.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Now let's move on to the retention strategy. So first, let's talk about the overseas guys. So yes, so were you kind of astonished or sad or what was your reaction when you saw that Lockie Ferguson was released, and like Tim Southey, David VC, and Lytton Das we were kind of expecting, but Lockie Ferguson, were you expecting, or what was your reaction for that?
Well, I did expect this would happen because firstly, the price tag he comes
Yes.
with, he's a 10 point something, I mean, 10 crore plus bowler. So, and apart from that, his form has also been very poor. Even in the World Cup, he has been here and there. I wouldn't say he's been bad, but he's been here and there. And even in the IPL, he went for a real beating in the last two seasons. So, releasing Lockie obviously makes sense because it is often said that more than the name, it's what you do is what matters. So, if someone's in form, you have to always prefer that player over the one who comes with a big reputation. So Lockie obviously has been good for KKR, especially in the UAE legs, but certainly not so much in the subcontinental conditions. So his release was something that didn't surprise me. I think that should have been the first thing that happened. Rather, Shardul's release kind of surprised me a bit because at in this era, people like to prioritize Indian core to be very strong, and Gambhir is no stranger to that ideology as well. So I thought Shardul may be retained, but again, he also comes with a very heavy price tag, and maybe they may look to buy him back at a cheaper rate. So Lockie's exclusion was pretty much coming.
Yeah. So as you said, they released Shardul Thakur and they must be eyeing on him. So, but do you think that instead of releasing Lockie Ferguson, they could have traded him to one of the franchisees, and they could have like gotten one of the wicket keepers, especially maybe overseas ones from one of the franchisees, especially Gujarat Titans, they could have gotten Matthew Wade from there.
Yeah, most certainly, because I think that this was something which was in my mind as well. Lucknow Super Giants don't really have much of a quality pace bowler. Apart from Mark Wood, they don't really have a quality pace bowler. The one they had, they gave him away. Navish Khan, Mohsin Khan's here and there is injured. So they do need pacers. So before going to the auction, already Lucknow have a very meager purse of 13 crore. So maybe Lucknow would have wanted a pacer. So if we would have offered someone like a Lockie and asked Quinton de Kock in return, because he would have been a value addition for us. We need keeping, we need opening, and he is of the highest quality and also comes with superb form. And more importantly, Lucknow just traded in Padikkal. So they already have Rahul. I believe he'll be in the middle order this year, but they have, apart from Rahul, they do have someone like Mayers and they have Padikkal. They were even thinking of bringing in Mayank. They didn't do that, but they do have enough openers in their side. If they want, Stoinis can open someday. He has obviously opened in the past. So they have a surplus amount of openers. So I thought that would have been a very good trade deal, but somehow I don't know why it didn't manifest. Maybe Lucknow didn't want to overpower KKR over there. So that is maybe why they didn't let that happen.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Left to the Indian retentions, yes, Shardul Thakur was definitely one that caught many eyeballs, and many franchisees will be eyeing on him, especially Chennai Super Kings, one of the prime runners for Shardul Thakur. But apart from that,
Absolutely.
yes, do you think any other retention they could have avoided or was kind of eye-catching to you?
Well, I think that most of the retentions pretty much made sense. because there was obviously a need to, I shouldn't say this, but there was a need to undergo a trash clearance. So the trash clearance kind of happened with Gambhir coming in because he's a no-nonsense man. He believes that I want a certain skill set among players and they should provide it on the big day. And if they are not providing it even after ample chances, I'll let you go. And that's what he did. We backed a certain Jagadisan for a while when Gambhir didn't come in, but he didn't perform. It didn't seem like he was ready for the IPL T20 gameplay. So he was certainly released, though he's a very talented player. And I think every of the releases made sense, and even the retentions kind of made sense.
Yes, especially the Indian ones. If you look at those names, all of them on a given day can feature in the KKR XI. So let's look at the playing 11 and see the kind of gaps that they need to fill, especially the Indian opener slash wicket keeper position is definitely one that needs to be taken care of. And if you look at 2023, they were trying and Jagdisan and Mandeep Singh, and later on, Venki Iyer, sometimes opener, sometimes middle order. It was kind of all over chaos there, and especially the second overseas opener. So that kind of hampered the team balance. They had to play Gurbaz because they didn't have any other wicket keeper. They couldn't play Roy, but Roy was performing well. Gurbaz was not performing well. So it was kind of chaos. How do you think KKR should solve this problem this year? Do you think Venkatesh Iyer should be designated opener along with one of the overseas guys?
I don't think so because Venkatesh Iyer has been pretty miserable for us in the recent past. Even in the domestics, he has been impressive, but not so much because he has stopped bowling in the last year. I believe he'll come back to bowling this year because he has bowled recently in the domestics. But if he just gives you a unidimensional ability, then there is no point. There are far more superior openers who can play ahead of Venkatesh Iyer. And even if you don't play someone ahead of him, at least get some quality backups, if someone challenges the place which Venkatesh Iyer holds, be it in the opening or in the middle order, then obviously his place would certainly look threatened, and maybe the performances would come in that case. So I feel we can go for a total revamp in the opening, maybe get in some uncapped Indian wicketkeeper like Urvil Patel or Harvik Desai. Such kind of names can be brought in. They bring a bit of swashbuckling nature in the top of the order, and maybe complement him with another blitz of an opener like Travis Head or anyone for that matter. So Venkatesh Iyer, I don't think that his place should be taken for granted. The same with Gurbaz and of course Roy. Roy is a big name, but yes, he's past his prime, and he's also been someone who has been sidelined by the English cricket circuit. So Roy is someone whom you can't believe for the next, I mean, for the entire season, and also for the fact that he's very much injury prone these days. So you can't take risks. You obviously need someone who is of the quality of Roy, or if possibly better. I would love to see Head in the team, or maybe someone like Mitchell in the team, because Mitchell can bat even in the top of the order. So I think that such value additions are needed, and we certainly can't rely on these three openers to take us through for the next season.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Now let's talk about the number seven slot because three to six are more or less the same and it's definitely boosted because of the addition of Shreyas Iyer. But if you look at the number seven, they were trying Shardul Thakur, Anukul Roy, Harshit Rana, and this time they don't have the option of Shardul Thakur. They just have Anukul Roy or Harshit Rana, depending on where they are playing, whether they need an extra spinner or a pacer. Do you think that this is a spot which is of concern, and this will decide whether KKR will make it or break it this season?
Not really, but I think that we do need a bit of depth in the team, in the batting lineup. If we get someone like Harshal, he can obviously add a bit of batting in the lower order. He can't play at seven, of course, but he can bring some depth in the batting. Or you can go for a completely untested, all-rounder, uncapped material. There are a few who are doing headlines. You've heard of Arshin Kulkarni. Then there's another from MP, I believe, who's called, I believe, Ashutosh Sharma. Ashutosh Sharma is a very promising young lower order batsman who can give you a bit of medium pace as well. Then there's Manwant Kumar from KPL. He's been doing well for Hubli, so he's also another promising talent. There are a few all-rounders whom you can look at, and I'm pretty sure they have been scouting them well. There have been a set of players who have also been brought in for trials. Or you can maybe go for someone who is a low order wicket-keeper batsman. You can play anyone down the order, and that also could get the job done along with giving you some keeping.
Yeah. Now let's talk about the most important aspect that KKR needs to fill, the number 10 and number 11, one overseas bowler and one Indian pace bowlers. So do you have any options in mind, some dream options that you think will boost KKR's chances?
Well, given the recent form of Hazelwood, he would have been a dream option, but because he is not likely to be available for the entire season, they may not look at him. Otherwise, the dream of Stark always stays because he's been in the KKR team list at least, but he did not play for us in 2018 when we picked him for 9 crore. So Stark obviously makes the dream list for sure. If you don't go for Stark, then yeah, you can go for Madhushanka. He can be a future option. A more costlier option would be Gerald Coetzee because he can give you a bit of batting as well. Cummins again would be someone who would cost a fortune. And if you get Cummins, you get everything because the Eden track is expected to be slow, and Cummins has excelled in such slow-natured pitches. Like in the semi-final, also he bowled well. He batted well also. He's not just that same Cummins who hit 50 or 14 balls in the past. He can actually play an anchor kind of lower order batsman as well. So Cummins would be a value addition also because he brings in a bit of captaincy brain in the dressing room. So Cummins again would be someone who would cost a fortune. If not, you can go for some cheaper options like, as I said earlier, Madhushanka or Willie or Vokes, those kind of players. But yeah, the dream will obviously be to get one among the three Australians, preferably Mitchell Stark.
Yeah, and what about the Indian pace bowler? So do you have any dream options?
Dream options, I would say Harshal Patel would be a very valuable addition in the team because he gives a bit of batting as well, and he's a fine death bowler. He's been having a bit off season in the RCB color, but I think that he will shine sooner than later. He's a quality bowler, and in the slow nature of Eden track, which is expected to be up next, I think Harshal Patel would be a handful in such conditions. If not Harshal, then we know Gambhir's obsessed with left arm paces. He's had Unatkat in the past. He's had Pradeep Sangwan in the past. Even in LSG had Mohsin Khan in the past. So maybe he may go for Chetan Sakaria. So Chetan Sakaria would obviously be a very valuable option in the depth because he also brings in that left armor aspect. And just like Harshal, he's very good with his cutters as well. So yeah, he could also be a very good option.
Yeah, and do you see Yash Dayal featuring in KKR's jersey?
Could be very well because Yash Dayal even in the past has been called for trials by KKR, and we can't judge Yash Dayal by that one Rinku Singh massacre. He's
Yes,
actually a very,
yes.
very good bowler. Than that, maybe he could come. He obviously could be a very cheap option. I don't think many teams will look at him. So he can obviously be someone who can feature in the team and maybe start for us as well alongside Harshit and Weber.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. So one last question and then we'll wrap up this episode. So do you think that this is a very settled team and the budget you have, the kind of team management you have right now, the kind of leadership, this is going to be the prime KKR that we saw under Gambhir? Or do you think this is going to be one of those kind of scenarios where you will have to change the captaincy mid-season and it will go back to Nitish Rana?
I don't think so. I think that this team is a very settled team already on paper, and with Gambhir coming in, that intent would be there. The hunger to win would be there. It's been a while since KKR has grabbed some silverware or made important amount of noise needed for the tournament. So Gambhir would obviously like to make that happen because he's a big dominating personality to have in the team. And with Shreyas Iyer, who is also similar kind of candidate, and Nitish Rana, I feel that Nitish Rana would have a breakthrough season, and it's very much needed. I feel that the talent Nitish Rana has is something that should knock the national team door sooner than later because he gives you someone who can bat anywhere in the batting order. He can obviously give you a bit of off spin as well. He's got some leadership. He's a fit fielder and he's not even too old. So I think, and he's a splendid player of spin. Not many people know that he is someone who has one of the highest strike rates against Ashwin. And as we all know that Ashwin is a bowler everyone fears to face. So with someone of such quality, his best season is yet to come. He's been here and there, but not a very consistent presence in the headlines. But with Gambhir in the team, obviously Nitish Rana would hold a higher value in the team. And I don't see any captaincy swap in the middle of the season because Shreyas Iyer is a very good captain. He took Delhi Capitals to a final as well. And who knows, it's an important season for him because if he does well in the helm as a captain, then maybe he may be the front runner for being the next captain of India, just like Hardik Pandya after one captaincy stint with Gujarat, is in the reckoning for the captaincy of India as well. So maybe Shreyas Iyer's time is here, and I hope that happens.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And the answer that you gave kind of triggered me to ask you one more question. That do you think that the kind of uh mentorship that Gambhir has, he will kind of reshuffle the batting lineup a bit, and maybe we'll see Nitish Rana opening this season. Do you think that it is a possible scenario?
It is very much possible because Gambhir has a special amount of affection, a special bond with Nitish Rana. He is someone who has defended Rana when Rana was sacked from captaincy by Delhi. And he was the one who confronted the selectors and the management saying that you have to play my boy out there. So he takes Rana very personally. That's maybe why he tried to buy him in the auction. He tried to trade him last year. And now he's in the same team as Rana. People say that Gambhir joined KKR because of the Rana factor. But obviously, he can't be a captain right now. But I think he has that three-dimensional ability. And if he bats in the top of the order, obviously, he's a very fearless player. But personally, I, being a fan of Rana's cricketing abilities, would want him in the middle order because he's a great player of spin. And if you put him up front, he has to face breathtaking pace. And more than pace, I think he's comfortable against spin. So maybe I would prefer putting Rana in the middle order. But that being said, if he does well in the opening position, does an orange cap giving performance, then why not? More than welcome.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And with especially Lord Rinku nowadays batting at five, it would give a huge plus to the firepower where Rinku can bat five or four and then Dreras can come at five. It's going to be a very splendid batting lineup if they somehow manage to get openers, as you mentioned, and especially that prime overseas bowler who can ace this bowling attack. So with this, let's end this video. And one prediction, your first buy that KKR will buy at the auction.
The first buy from the first set, I think Travis said. If not, if we don't go for Travis Head, then maybe they'll go for Harry Brook. I mean, not many people mention this, but the strategist of KKR, A.R. Srikanth, he has always been a big fan of Harry Brook in the past. And I think Harry Brook, if he comes cheap, he'll be someone who could be a value addition, even looking at the future. He's much better than the batting we saw in the sole IPL season he's played in. So maybe Harry Brook, if not Travis Head. Otherwise, if you look at the bowling aspect, I think they will go hammer and tongs for Madhushanka. I'm pretty sure they'll go for Madhushanka very hard.
Interesting, interesting. I think this is the first time in my 8 episode series so far I'm hearing the name of Harry Brook from one of the franchise fans, and it's going to be really interesting to see Harry Brook in this lineup. And like
The
I
thing with Harry
can
Brook is he actually is someone who's done well in the Eden. Even in the IPL, he scored a ton there. Even in the World Cup, in the matches in Eden, he played a good cameo. So I think these conditions would suit him a lot. So maybe Harry Brook could be an addition, and he could actually break the jinx which has started regarding him in the IPL.
Yeah, interesting, interesting. So I think you have given some very interesting insights, and this has been a great discussion. So thank you for coming on this show. I think it would be really wonderful that once the auction happens, we'll do a quick review of how many our
Sure,
predictions
sure.
went correct.
Certainly, certainly. I thoroughly enjoyed this show as well. I've made you wait for a very long time and I feel bad about it, but I'm glad that I remembered it today and we could make this happen. And I'm looking forward to innumerable shows with you and discussing about the team.
Yes, yes, definitely, definitely. So thank you very much. And if you like this video, drop your thoughts in the comment box that who are going to make it to the KKR squad this season. And if you agree or disagree with some of our opinions, drop your comments and we'll definitely try to reply to those in our upcoming videos.